Right?
We have one Tuesday, right?
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Such confidence.
Yes. We have I have two on Tuesday because I have first hour needs from 10 to 11, and then I have mindfulness with you 2:30 to 3:30. I had a headache yesterday. My son didn't feel well yesterday, right? We were out. I tried to fight it all day, and I was out, and I just couldn't think anymore and be alert, and I tried really hard. I laid down like 3 different times to try to do the mindfulness dawn, to be like, okay, I'm not tired, but my brain just has to shut off. And I was really trying. I was proud of myself that I went to that and not Excedrin migraine, which I usually go to. So
it takes a lot of practice. I mean,
it does. And I was proud of myself that I even thought to try to practice.
Well, and you can do both,
right.
Especially while you're learning,
Yeah.
Right.
But usually I get it right. And monthly, I get it for 2 days and they're really bad. And I've hired a woman in Australia to try to help me figure it out. And this month has been better. So that's good. I had one yesterday. It's like really dull and foggy in the back, and it's fine today. And usually this day I would have, if it was any other month, I would have been like, guys, you know what? Because I know you all so well. I would have been like, I can't do it.
You know
I had
what?
to help a mom process yesterday, and I canceled on her too. Like her son was having a hard time, and I had to like think and process, and I was like, my brain will explode on camera for you if I do that.
One way to relieve that too is a natural way is wet your head and take the blow dryer to it.
Oh,
really?
Because the hot
the
air.
shower helps for sure.
Right. Well, it's the hot air expands the veins, because when you get a headache is it's a constriction of the arteries in the vessel.
Someone also told me to rub right here.
Yep.
And what's funny is when I rub right there, I can feel it in my head, and I don't know if it's psychological because someone told me it would help. But
no,
I can.
It's a point.
And I was like, oh, my brain's in my hands. That might explain a lot. I have brains in my hands. All right, let's start. I recorded already, so a lot of people are going to hear about my headaches, but that's fine. I feel like everybody's having headaches. I have eye pillows that I sell from Parker Mountain Comfort Wraps, and I can't even keep them in stock because everybody's like, give me one of those. I need a healthy way to get rid of my headaches. So we're talking about creating a yes environment. It's going to be way different than the environment when I did, was that yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. It seems so long ago. I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh, it's Thursday? Finally? Does this week seem long? Maybe because I had a headache. It seems really long. I think it's even though we're not in a building, the last, right, that joke is, right, like April has 30 days, May has 31 days, June has 4,607 days. Like, it just feels so long. Like, I feel like that's happening sooner now. So there is, if you've been in my temperament one, the challenging behavior temperament one, we know that there is a temperament that is just triggered by no. You know some kids that you say no and they automatically go into power struggle. I'll fight you. I'm going to win. I'm competitive. First, best, fastest. I'll show you. There are some kids that my son will say something. He prefaces like this, Mommy, I have to ask a question, but you can't be mad until I finish asking the question. Because he knows that he'll say, and I said, wait, as a joke, can I answer the 3 questions I think you're going to ask? And he goes, yeah. And I said, no, we can't download Minecraft. No, we're not downloading Fortnite. And, what's the third one? No, you can't go on the iPad because it gives you headaches. And he's like, ah! And he goes like this. Because how did I start each one? No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. So he goes, he has like and like cartoon, like he turns bright red. And I was like, oh, I'm creating a yes environment tomorrow, and I'm messing it up currently right now. Like I was trying to make it a funny joke, and all he heard was no, no, no. And I think that to get to a different place, right, in that you have to look at certain things, right? We have to look at power and control. So I noticed this first one all the time. that when teachers or parents or adults or administration feel like they're
Meg?
losing control.
We can't see your slides. We just see,
You can't?
no, we just
Then
see
you-
that it's where you've marked yes handouts. You haven't clicked on it yet, according to.
Oh, now can you?
Hey, there we go.
Oh, I'm a genius. Well, because you know what it was? I shared the screen and then I got out of the meeting because I thought I was in the wrong meeting because I was the only
Yeah.
one. Of all the ones I've done, I've never been the first person. So I was like, oh man, I told them the wrong time or the wrong day, or I'm in a wrong, or I clicked a different meeting. So I had to get out of it. That's what happened.
Anyway, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you for telling me. That would have been really weird to go through the whole thing. And
Like,
you
I can't
couldn't
see
it. So I see when teachers, adults, parents, administrators feel like they're losing control, they tend to dig in deeper with power and control. It's supposed to be they scoop and hold firm, not gold firm. I don't know what happened there. I didn't read them, obviously. The solution is to become more flexible and share power. So when I tell teachers or administration or parents that they feel like they're losing and the kids are winning, and I said, well, relationships should be win-win, right? That's another slide as we get farther down, is that you should feel like you're winning and the kids should feel like they're winning. Nobody feels like they're winning if the kid has all the power and control. And where do they go? Eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, and talking, right? They choose one of those things to get all the power and control, especially really smart kids. And they could do it at like 18 months. I've seen 18-month-olds figure it out. And then we start to go towards silly things, right? Like silent lunch is I have all the power. I don't even know why we silent lunch kids. I don't, right? But I'm giving you a little power to have fun at lunch. You're being overwhelming. So now I'm going to take all the power. I see them. And I feel like in my head, it looks like cartoons because the adults have it all and they're like, ha, ha, ha. Oh, and I feel like they're a villain in a movie. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't have it all. And I see the harder the kids work to get some of the power, the more the adults steal. And the more the child has challenging behaviors or special needs, they don't trust the kids to have enough power for it to be significant for the children to grow and learn and be at their best. So I always say you got to release some of the power. That is not natural for anybody. It is not natural for me. I only do it because I know that that's what's best. But right, remember, I have that first, best, fastest, dominant temperament where I'm like, no, you're not having any Fortnite. You're not having any Minecraft. You're not doing the iPad. And right, I have to figure out like, okay, bud, you know what? We'll talk about it in 2 months. So then he's going to ask me about when 2 months is, but that's a better question than Minecraft and Fortnite. And he's like, Mommy, I'll only play 15 minutes a day, right? He's trying to share the power with me. And I was like, but I know you want to do that, but you're not going to be able to because it's so exciting. Like, how about I give you a donut and you can have 2 bites, but you know where the donut is. How many people would sneak another bite? Oh, for sure. All of us. Look at all of us. We're like, oh, quarantine, we need some donuts. Right? So we have to learn to share the power. Sometimes you don't even know that you have it all. And that's the self-reflection piece, right? Know that you hoard power more when your hot buttons are pushed. I say, when I taught kindergarten and the kids whined, it was automatically a no for me. I was like, nope, it's not happening. And they were like, well, I didn't even finish the whining sentence yet. Nope. I said, I feel like I'm really fair with, if you tell me in a regular voice, I will help kids do almost anything. I will let them say bad words. I will let them say, oh, I hate that kid. I will really let them do what they need to do to get it out so we can process. But if you start in with whining, it's a no for me. And then what happens? Now you have a kid who's already mad, who's whining as, right, they're verbally external in anger. And now I'm like, nope, what happens? This doesn't get me anywhere. So I try to write that out of my vocabulary, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So what does sharing power look like or sound like? An apology, not a forced one. Remember, you can't make kids talk, but an apology from an adult to a child. I have coached and mentored a lot of teachers. And I have said to them, you know what? They were like, how do we fix this? Right? We've been on a sticker chart. It's not working. I said, the first thing you have to do, call the kid over and say, you know what, buddy? I was told to do the sticker chart and I should have said something. I knew it wasn't going to work. I knew it was going to make you mad. I knew it was going to make me mad. I'm sorry that I did it. I didn't know what else to do, so I did it. And I'm in the wrong. And I apologize. And I feel terrible that I didn't think of a different way. And this is what the adults do with me. I have to do that? Like big saucer eyes. Yes. That's different. That sounds different to a kid than this isn't working. Because what does the kid think? It's whose fault? Kid thinks it's their fault, right? If you're doing a sticker chart with a kid and it doesn't work, did you probably know it wasn't going to work? Yes, but the people up here told me I had to do it. Someone asked me that question the other day. What do we say? I was in I have a center that I'm doing 6 in the month of May for them because I was supposed to do a professional development day and they need the hours. And they said, what if it's not your temperament to speak up and say something? And I was like, hook onto somebody who it is their temperament. Just nod your head and smile and then find me and I will coach you into what to say. It's like theater. You have to look, you have to know what to say and look in a mirror and really, right, Kirsten, I talked to you about this a little bit too. Like you have to stand and say it. Oh, sticker charts is a strategy in fear. I'm not willing to shake this child's emotional wellness. I think they already have a lot going on. I need some strategies in love. Maybe you could draft some up tonight and give me some tomorrow. I really need different strategies than the fear-based ones. First of all, they won't even know what you're saying because they'll be like, what? You look very smart. And they'll come back with, when I say stuff like that, they come back with a token board or they come back with candy or they come, and I'm like, ooh, still a strategy in fear. I can't use that one. It doesn't work. They've never worked. And I'm not willing to shake this child's emotional wellness, so I need a different one. Maybe I'll just think of some. And so the first thing you would do is apologize. Like, you know what, buddy, I knew this was a fear-based strategy. And I didn't know what else to do. My toolbox was empty, so I used it. And I shouldn't have. And I feel terrible for it. And now I would like to ask for forgiveness so we could get to a different place. There's not a lot of kids that wouldn't at least hear part of that.
Well, I think part of the problem is we're not taught to be in a yes environment.
No, especially the harder the kid, you're taught to be in a no environment more, Don, you're right.
Right. So, I mean, they don't know any better than do the sticker charts and all the reward systems and all that.
Well, the people who tell you to do the sticker charts have a lot of education.
Right.
And have a lot of hours in sticker charts.
But they don't work.
No, they've never worked. I've used the sticker chart because at one point we didn't know what we didn't know, right? Have they ever worked? They never worked.
I mean,
and I can see it.
They do work for like a day or a week.
Right. Research shows 4 to 6 weeks it works.
Right.
I've never seen it work 4 to 6 weeks. Partly because I can't remember to do it. I forget who's on what sticker chart. Like you're on the sitting one or the swearing one or the I don't want to go outside one. Like, I don't know. I mean, in the 80s, right, that's what there were sticker charts all over the wall. And that's what you were doing all day is managing stickers.
And what they really want is to be talked to and be seen.
Yes, just like any human does. Just because they have challenging behaviors or special needs doesn't mean they're not human. That's an essential human need. You want to belong. And having a sticker chart on your desk, oh, there's one. I heard the other day, it's like everybody gets a little cup and the teacher gives like red and green like pom-poms and walks by and drops them in or picks them out. What? Would you ever do that to an adult? That's always my gauge. If you're not going to do that to an adult you love, don't do that to a child who's looking to feel love and belonging, right? So apology is one. We have to figure out how to apologize to kids. Every time I have taken a deep breath and apologized to a kid, it has worked. Every time. I have not had one time where it hasn't worked. They have at least heard me a little bit and realized that I'm wrong. And almost every time they've brought it back up again.
You're modeling for them to apologize.
We are the role models. Weird, right? Except sometimes right? We're the role models for the kids, but then we should have role models for us, right? The people above us hierarchically, I don't know if that's a word, in the hierarchy, should be telling us appropriate things to do, but they want it fun, fast, and easy, right? And that's just not that's not the case. And if you're in a yes environment, you have to get rid of fun, fast, and easy, right? We've already talked about the fastest strategy, right? That's hitting. So that's already out. Now, instead of shaking physical wellness, we're shaking emotional wellness with the things that we think we're going to do to help kids with behavior management. I don't even like behavior management. I think everybody has a behavior we need to manage. It's not, I mean, you kidding? Imagine me as a 5-year-old. I was fun, but I was sassy, and way more so. I was sassy beyond my years for sure, and witty beyond my years. I got in a lot of trouble for saying things under my breath that nobody heard, but sometimes when they were heard, I got in big trouble. So listening to what the child has to say. So that's us stopping and talking. No more dissertation on manners or trying to teach a lesson. We do that a lot. We keep going and going and going and going. And just listening to the child. That is also the match game. Have we talked about the match game before? So I have it on, I've posted it. But the match game goes like this. So it's, say my son and I, and he, the other day, I said, bud, you gotta bring your clothes upstairs. And he goes, Mommy, I just wanted to play. I said, I know, I did too. Those aren't my clothes. I need you to go put them upstairs. So he stomps up the stairs, he slams his door, he puts them away. He comes back down. I said, hey, bud, let's do the match game about how that went. And he was like, fine. So he puts his hand behind his back. So 1 is okay. 2 is good. 3 is great. Notice there's no fair or poor or right. You're either okay, good, or great. Put your hand behind your back, and then you go. I said, so, bud, how did that go? How did, when I said, bud, can you go put your clothes away, and you went and put them away, you tell me how that went, and I'm going to tell you how it went by numbers. So we went 1, 2, 3, and we both picked 2. The point of the game is to match. So we matched, so we won the game. Now you're going to start listening to the child. But how come you picked 2? He said, because Mommy, I stomped up the stairs and slammed the door, and you don't like when I did that. So I figured it wasn't a 3. And I said, and he goes, Mommy, how come you picked a 2, right? We've done a lot of this talk and game stuff. And I said, well, I picked a 2 because you did do that. But you stomped and got really mad. And I even gave you a warning. But I didn't pick a 1 because you actually went and put them away. And he was like, okay. And I said, so how can we make it better next time? And he came up with some ideas, and I came up with some ideas, and then we split. It was like, I think the one I shared on Instagram was like 1 minute and 38 seconds. It takes less than 5 minutes. So teachers will be like, I don't have time to do that after every circle. You don't? So then what are you going to do? Reactively, you're going to have the kid who flips out, right? I promise that's going to be more than 5 minutes. But teachers are just crossing their fingers like they're going to get through it, right? Maybe he won't freak out at this circle time. Maybe he won't freak out at this lunchtime or whatever. And that's not usually the case. So I also have the match game in this form. Cover his name. But write 1, 2, 3. So this is one that if you're in a public school, you have documentation of it. And so you have one and the kid has one, and you circle and you fold it, and then you go 1, 2, 3, match. And on the hand one, you want the kid to put theirs up first, because then they match yours, because kids figure that out pretty easily. So this kid, he did it. He did 40, I'm trying to add, 48 of them, right? This is his match pile, which was 36, which means that's pretty self-reflective. And 12 was that they didn't match. He loves the game. Loves it. He's 12. And now he's doing the match game at home because he's having a hard time at home. He's a kid that got on Google Hangouts and was mooning the camera. So. And he just said, oh no, I was jumping on my bed and my pants fell down. Well, put a belt on, dude, if that's what's happening. Like if or stop jumping on your bed during Google Hangouts. A calm voice is the next one. Even if your insides are boiling, you will almost always see me use a calm voice. Almost always. Does that mean inside is calm? Rarely actually is it calm inside. Because I am fast to anger. That's just my temperament. But I use the 45% to show calmness. Because I promise, if you enter with a mad voice and a loud voice to a kid who's already mad, it's not gonna calm them. I usually enter with really mad kids, be like, "Hey, bud, I'm here. I'm your calm helper. I'm gonna sit right here, and I'm gonna be with you. You just let me know when you're ready to talk." And then they sometimes throw stuff at me, sometimes come at me, sometimes they say bad words. The bad words are my favorite because, well, first of all, because I'm not getting hurt. But second of all, because I was like, when I'm mad like that, that's what I want to do too. Good for you. I said, although those words aren't appropriate, I totally get why you do it. I'd want to do it too. So you know what? Good thing I'm a safe person for you to do it with. And they're like, okay. I had one kid in the hallway one time. You could tell he was mad. He had his fists like this. He walked by me and he got really close and he just went like this and then said the F word. He went really close to my face and then kept walking because he knew I was the one he could let it out to. So he just walked by me, whispered, and kept going. And I was like, and I looked at him and he went like this. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. And then he didn't say it to anybody else. I didn't have to tell anybody. He just knew, like, she's my calm helper. I'm going to let it out for her. And then I went in to the teacher whose class he went into, and I said, how was he? Oh, he was great. Well, because I got the F word. Ask more questions. That's another way of sharing power. That's our strategy that my son throws in my face all the time. I'm the one who thought of the strategy. And I'll say something to Brendan. He's like, Mommy, you need to ask more questions. I was going to get my shoes on. I just had to get BB Bunny and Blanky first. And BB Bunny and Blanky were in the opposite direction as the shoes, so I just assumed he wasn't going to do it. He goes, Mommy, you have to ask more questions. And I was like, and that is sort of, my husband might get out of jail card free. So when we mess up, we apologize. We'll say, oh, you know what, buddy, sorry. I should have asked more questions. And Brennan hears that as, I made a mistake, right? We've done a lot of teaching around it. I've made a mistake. The adult has made a mistake, and I'm willing to listen to you now. And I apologize for not doing so. Are you waving, Don, or do you have something to say?
No, I gotta go.
Oh, you gotta go. Okay, sorry. I was like, hi.
I have to go teach meditation.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm channeling you. Oh. Where my squirrels are.
See you later.
Bye. So the next one. So asking more questions is sometimes what we do first. So a kid is doing something and you're like, hey, bud, what's going on over here? And when he's like, nothing. And I said, oh, I was trying to use the strategy of asking more questions. I didn't want to assume anything, so I just thought you could tell me what was happening. Right? A kid will hear that a little bit. More so than they will hear, stop it, put that down, right? Like just assuming we know what the situation. How many times have you walked into a situation, you assume you know what's going on and you have been completely wrong? I have. Yeah. And when you're completely wrong, you're like, oh, right? You feel like a ding dong. And then now you're like, great, I got to use the other power and control strategy of apology. And apologies are really hard with kids. So what does no stop sound like? No, stop, don't, can, and wait. You say no to kids, some of them are just, no and stop, right? I've talked about this before. No and stop have to be like when they're going to run into the road. And you go, no, stop. And they're like, what? Like, oh, that sounded like she was scared because I was being unsafe. But when you say no and stop all the time, what happens to kids? It just desensitizes them to it. And they just keep running when it's unsafe. Don't, can, and wait. There are some temperaments that react poorly to those. Don't do that, and what happens? You can't do that. Oh yeah, watch me, right? You get that. And no child is good at waiting. I'm a 42-year-old adult. And I'm not good at waiting. Right? I'm like, I don't know. I always pick the wrong line. I actually really like in the grocery store now, the one that's free, they tell you to go, you have to line up, and then they're like, go to register number 5. Like Best Buy, go to register number 3. I'd like that because I always win. Because I'm always in the shortest line. Because the guy knows what line is shortest, right? I like that whole setup. This makes me so crazy, this next one. And I can't even say it. Seriously. You get what you get and you don't get upset. How many people get upset? You go to get a donut and you get me a jelly donut. You get what you get and you don't get upset. Oh, I have a terrible thought about jelly donuts. I used to have them in kindergarten. We had jelly donuts for snack. And then they were like the chunky apple jelly kind. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth right now. Yeah, exactly, Kirsten. Like, what? And you had to eat your whole snack. You had to. So I ate around the donut. I put it in my mouth, pretended I had to go to the bathroom and spit it in the toilet. I could. And then one time they made me chew it and swallow it, and I gagged and threw up. And then they got mad at me. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, you made me eat a whole donut. It's not like I was getting any sort of nutrition from it. The apple jelly doesn't count as an apple. It's not real fruit in a jelly donut. But it's people who are like, hold on, let's see if I can, do you want the yellow marker or the pink marker? And they pick the pink. You should give them the pink, right? But if you just have them in your hand, like this, and someone's like, oh, I want the green one, and then you take the pink one and you give it to them and you say you get what you get and you don't get upset.
That's mean.
That's so mean. It's so mean. And I see it all the time with cups or popsicles or, right, it's only a fun popsicle day if you actually get to pick the popsicle you want to eat. Nobody likes lime. Don't give me orange. I want raspberry or cherry or strawberry. I want it to be red. But we hear that all the time, and I think we say it because it rhymes. You get what you get and you don't get upset, and it sounds like, oh, so I think Dr. Seuss played a big role in the rhyming. I think he would roll over in his grave and be like, stop it right now. Don't do it.
That's like sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. While we were growing up, because I'm in an older generation.
Happened to me too, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's
not true.
For meaning.
No, so you're not going to physically hurt me, but you'll emotionally hurt me?
Yeah.
Emotionally hurting you is worse than physically hurting you.
I agree.
Right? And that's the whole premise of why I don't do fear-based strategies. I'm actually going to write that down. Sticks and stones. I'm making a post about that one, Kirsten.
Good.
And when I left the kindergarten classroom, and I teach at the high school level, I teach future teachers. One of my kindergarten kiddos was using her words in first grade. And she was basically saying, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm totally stressed out. And she was asking to leave. And of course, the teacher's first day of school. And I'm not going to let you leave. I'm not sure why, but they weren't going to let her. Long story short, made me think of you, Meg, is that she eventually threw up on her shoes. And she got to leave. And
only after she threw up.
Correct. But there was a part only after, and it's terrible. But everyone was like, can you believe she did that? And I'm like, brilliant. How about you pay attention to what she was saying for a minute? Really? Seriously? She's brilliant. She got out of that room. Eventually, it was heartbreaking, and I was sad that I wasn't in that. I'm still in the same district, but I wasn't in that school anymore. But This child had so much trauma. And she was overwhelmed, and first day of school, the teachers have all these ideas they want to get through, and not until she finally threw up. And people were feeling sorry for the teacher, not I. Sorry.
So I have a similar story. When I was in kindergarten, there was a little girl, her name was Abby. I wish I could meet her because I want to talk to her about it. But I only remember it in my 5-year-old brain, right? So I was in kindergarten, and every time she woke up from nap or went to sleep at nap, it was one or the other, she threw up. And now, knowing what I know now, she had to have had really high anxiety. But every time she threw up, people were mad that she threw up. And I was like, and I thought to myself, I wonder why. I also was like panicked when I threw up because it was still going on with Abby. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to be so mad at me that I threw up because of the apple jelly. But the first couple times she got sent home because they thought she was legitimately sick, but then she kept throwing up. And I think it was the same thing. There was trauma and she was nervous and it was just too much. And the teachers were not kind. My kindergarten teachers were not kind. Or loving, right? Remember, that's the teacher I peed on because she was not nice to me. But she threw up too. And now that I think about it, I was like, you get to the point where you either do it on purpose or an accident.
Yep.
And the girl probably in your case, Sarah, didn't do it on purpose, but she got so worked up and probably more worked up because she was trying to tell somebody I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I know my friend who's an occupational therapist and amazing. She immediately called me or texted me like during the day, like
Yeah.
because she knew. My reaction was that was brilliant. At least she got herself out of that situation. I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't know if she did it on purpose, but you just have to listen to these kids. She must have told, I can imagine, in so many ways before she got to that point. It's heartbreaking.
Right. And in a no environment, right, those whispers of, oh, I have a headache or stomach ache, that's a whisper. I miss my mommy, that's a whisper. Can I go take a walk or get a drink or go to the bathroom? That's a whisper. If you ignore all those whispers, kids are forced to yell. And her yelling looked like what? Throw up. So you get what you get and you don't get upset. We're taking that out of our vocabulary, I hope. Every time I hear a teacher say it, I have an instant headache. Because I'm like, oh gosh, can we stop? Assigned seats is that's what no sounds like. I don't trust you to pick a seat and be appropriate in the seat you're gonna pick in, so I'm gonna choose it myself. And I'm gonna write your name on it. And you can only sit there. And the teachers never sit you next to your friends because you talk too much. Well, how about you teach me the skill of what to do when I do get to sit next to my friend?
Or they'll sit the nice child in between two naughty kids.
That's true.
They'll-
And then
or they'll-
the kid
yeah,
that
they'll
follows
put
the
the
rules
kid-
is
Yeah, they'll put
traumatized.
this girl in between two naughty boys, and it's like, why are you doing that? How unfair. That's not
Yeah.
fair.
And the boys probably would have better behavior if they sat together, maybe, if you taught them the skill
Yeah.
and use time and patience, right? Sometimes kids are just have hard behavior because you've taken too much power and control, but you don't see it. Crisscross applesauce, that is all about power and control. Because I'm sitting crisscross applesauce right now, and I do not hear you any better than when I have straight legs. There's nothing different in crossing my legs that helps my ears work. But if you see crisscross applesauce, I know you're listening. How? Because I'm properly sitting the way you want me to? Crisscross applesauce is all about power. And again, we rhyme it. Right? My son's karate, it's called crisscross karate sauce. And I think that's adorable. But in karate, it's a little different because of the rules and the practice and the dojo and the sensei and right. But in school, I can listen. I can't sit crisscross applesauce very long. First of all, it hurts my knees, right? I was a jumper from 5th grade to through college in track. So I don't have awesome knees from long jump, triple jump, and high jumping. And I had skin cancer right on the outside of my left calf. So when I do crisscross, this part hits my scar, and the scar's like numb and feels gross. So I can't sit crisscross very long because I have to put one foot out, and that hurts my knee.
Yeah.
Because I was a jumper. And I could raise my hand and say that. Nobody cares if I'm 5. And
I
then
had a little
who doesn't
boy.
get crisscross applesauce? The teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah, go ahead.
I had a little boy who had autism, and part of his plan was to crisscross applesauce because it would keep him in control of his body, and he could crisscross applesauce. It was fine. It was just a sign. It was more just like staying in control. We had a little sign language, and I think you guys would get a kick out of this. So if he was and he didn't even have to sit crisscross applesauce. He could sit anyway. I just wanted him to kind of remind him to stay a little bit in control. So we would go like this, right? Which looks a little bit like the sign of the cross. And so the kids would like get a kick out of it, and then they would start doing it. And then you knew it was getting way out of control when my kids are like going up to him and going like this at his head. I felt like we were in The Exorcist. I was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Why am I doing? It was just a good reflection for me. Like, you know, why was I doing this?
Or like, like in Family Feud, right? When they don't get the answer right, you get the big X. Well, right, and that's probably someone trying to teach him the skill to stay in control of his body. But an OT, right? Staying in control of your body means you have to link your brain and your body. This has nothing to do with linking your brain and your body. Like, but with an autistic kid, it's a lot more work because maybe was he verbal?
No, he was nonverbal. So it was one of the signs that we came up with.
Yeah,
And for the most part, it worked. It was just, as he was getting older, it wasn't working. You have to kind of, just because you did it forever doesn't mean it's always going to work. And it certainly isn't going to work when his peers are doing it at him, like, or the sign, whatever was happening. I was like, we need to come up with a new sign.
I went like this, I would take their fingers and be like, like, don't get near my face.
He was the sweetest. He was absolutely the sweetest. And you just have to we came up with some other signs for him and everything, but it just made me laugh, made me think of you.
And I think that's a good point, is that when you use these strategies, sometimes they work for a day. And if there's not any detriment at the end of the day, right? If you're using a strategy in fear and a strategy in love, and your love strategy worked for a day, good for you. You got through a day. Tomorrow it might not work. So when people are like, I tried that, it didn't work. The second day, okay, wrap your brain around, woohoo, it worked the first day. I got through one day, right? So some people buy, right, I have the fidget, of course, in my hand, that they're like, well, the fidget lasted a week. Well, it's $5. Would you pay me $5 to have 1 week of success?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would, right? And it doesn't mean it's not going to work again. Right? You keep teaching the skill and meeting the need, and maybe it'll work again. But people, once it stops working, they just like put it on the back burner, but so far back that they forget it's there, and they forget to bring it back to the front again. Remember this fidget used to work for you last year. Let's try it again. Do you remember what the rules were around? Did you remember how we used it as a tool and not a toy? I think we should try it again. I think you've matured a lot, and I think you're going to be able to do it. And then what happens if it doesn't work? Then it doesn't work. It's still strategy and love. And then you'll be like, you know what? Maybe you could teach another kid to use it. That in itself is a good learning piece for both kids. So we're taking out crisscross applesauce. I can't even take that. And then they have French fry. You could sit French fry, which is your legs like this, or mountain with your knees up. Why do we call it things? How are you comfortable when you sit? Do that. I don't need you to name it. I don't need you to write it down. I don't know why we name them. I think we think it's cutesy. Guess what? Guess who doesn't think it's cutesy? Me. I'm not into cutesy stuff, in case you didn't realize. Taking away recess, cut it out right now. Every kid needs to be outside and needs recess. I'm fighting that right now with the kids that I'm on an IEP for. Like, go outside. Walk your little feet out the door. Chop, chop, move, move. Holy moly. Sticker charts and clip down system, that's all about no. It's all about all the power and control. Because if you were to have the kid decide if they got the sticker, you might as well just move it to the match game. You don't need a sticker at the end of it. You don't need a clip down system. It's just about self-reflection. But when I'm the only one who clips you down and decides, and I'm the only one who gives a sticker, there's no self-reflection in that part. And ignoring behavior, that's also one. Right, I have all the control to pretend not to hear you, but I know I can, but you know you can hear me. Ugh, that one makes me crazy. So, like, you think just ignoring the kid's gonna make them think, oh, I should stop? Who did that ever work for? And if it does work for a kid and you plain ignore them, or just plain ignore them, and then they actually stop and never do it again, I'm a little bit worried about the emotional state of the kid. Because it means you probably picked a really, really big fear-based strategy for a kid who's sensitive and was just having a hard time, and now thinks other things, right? Is struggling. So environments for a yes. So interest survey. Your classroom should boast the children's interests. What do the kids love to do? What do they love? Like my son right now, he did write his Spark and Inspire project, and I've showed you the things, the robots. Wait, I'm gonna get the book. Right, and then he wrote a book because he helped me write the Scoot Newton books. So right, he wrote the book, Dreams Come True. And so he wrote the book, and it was all about things he liked to do. First, he created the robots. He was in the shop. He was doing loose part stuff. And then he was taking the pictures and making the props. And the whole time while I was right here, of course, right next to him. And then he we paid for, I don't know, 5 extra to send to childcare centers so he could inspire others. That was part of the project. So it was all about what he wanted to do. So in school, if you have a whole bunch of kids, if you don't know what kids, so say in September, you're setting up an environment and you're in childcare, people are like, well, I don't know what the kids like. Dinosaurs, princesses, trains, art, sparkles, do all that. And then you're gonna figure out how to change it. But what are the things that the kids picked most? Movement, trains, right? All that stuff, princesses, dinosaurs, space, aliens, astronauts. Just pick some of that stuff. Pick fun, interesting stuff. I say move away from thematic units. Some people disagree with me on that. Because not all kids, my notes say not all children love apples in September. You know when kids love apples? Not much of the time. It's almost never. If you talked about donuts in September, apple cider donuts, that's probably better to get a child's attention. But just because they start school and it's the beginning of school and it's fall doesn't mean they don't like dinosaurs. Right? They still like the stuff they like. My son will still like robots in September, I promise. Because once those thrift stores are open and we can go in, we're finding all the electronics we get to take apart. Brennan can't wait. He's like, are the thrift stores open now? And I was like, no, and we can't go to yard sales either because there aren't any. Sometimes we look for free stuff on the side of the road. See if anybody has like old coffee makers on the side of the road. And my husband's mortified that we do that, but I'm not scared. Play is a child's vehicle for learning. So we shouldn't be sitting at circle for 40 minutes. We shouldn't be doing flashcards. We shouldn't be doing a whole bunch of worksheets unless kids are drawn to those, right? We talked about that yesterday. Some kids are drawn to those. We need to play with the kids. And some adults are very good at planning curriculum, but not very good at sitting on the floor with kids and playing. Well, some kids don't know how to do it. I talked to a mom yesterday and I said, so does your son know how to like enter a play? And she goes, no. So what was he doing? Taking the book, throwing the book, hitting the kid, knocking his sister over. She's like, it's all day long. I said, he has no idea how to play with her.
Aww.
Right? And she was like, oh. I said, I think he wants her attention. She goes, oh, I feel so egocentric because and so arrogant because I thought he wanted my attention. I said, he might. But either one, he doesn't know how to get it. He doesn't know how to get either one's attention. And she was like, oh my gosh. So I have to teach him how? And I said, yeah, you're probably going to have to script it. And you're probably going to have to use the words for him for a little bit. She was like, but he has words. He's 5. And I said, right, but just don't say use your words. That's when kids swear sometimes. And you were like, oh, darn it, not those words. Whoops. Should have told you about the other words I had in mind. In your environment, is there a calming space so when a child does get heightened emotions, they can go somewhere? And is it a space where you can be by yourself? Is there a space where you can go, right? Some kids want a calming space where they don't want anybody else in it. And so then what do you do when you have 2 people who have high emotions at the same time? You say, oh, you know what? You could sit on I used to give the kids my chair, right? We had a little desk, teacher desk in kindergarten. I said, you could sit in my chair and curl up in that. You want a blanket from the quiet area? he's having a hard time, you're having a hard time. I'm going to stand in between you to see if I can help it all. But we need calming spaces, just like we have calming spaces, right? If you're like freaked out somewhere, do you go to a special spot in your house? Mine is on the chaise on the couch right here. That's where I spent a lot of my day yesterday with my headache, like hanging out there. That's like my calming space. And then Brendan's like, Mommy, I'll just play. The kid was like whispering.
Oh,
Because he gets headaches and I get headaches. So we are pretty good when the other one has a headache. My husband doesn't get headaches. And we're thankful he's at work. Because he wants to fix them. And we were like, if we knew what would fix them, we would have done it already.
Yeah.
And Brendan's like, Mommy, what's the medicine for a headache? And I was like, Bud, you can't take the medicine for a headache. We have to feed you right. You're probably going to have to drink more water. I'm going to have to rub your head. And you just have to stay put. He has a hard time staying put. So he has to go to his calming space, which is he has his blanket and BB bunny, and he has to go in his bed, and I rub his head, right? So what does that look like in school? He fights through it at school, and then we'll go right upstairs in his room, right? And we've noticed that technology, it gives him a headache. Right, which I think it gives a lot of people a headache, but his is like, it's so funny, the dark circles under his eyes, and his eyes look so like bloodshot. And you're like, oh, like you could tell he doesn't feel good. You could just see it in his face. In a yes environment, there's empowering adults. Adults that say, you know what? I'm here. I love you. And you can make mistakes. I'm still here and I'm still going to love you. Love is a hard word for some people. I've been told you can't tell the kids you love them. And I was like, maybe you can't tell the kids you love them, but I can. But what about the parents and what are the parents going to say? I don't love them like their parents. I love them like a teacher who really cares for their health and well-being. And I want to be kind and caring and nurturing to them. Right? I do truly love some kids. There are some kids that are harder to do that with, right? Because we're human. People are like, I love all children. That is not true. Do you love all humans? No, why? Just because they're smaller? Sometimes that makes them harder.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to fake it. They
Call them
know that they're hard for you.
I call them my prickly kids.
Yes.
You know, they're hard to, because they're prickly.
Right, they're little cactuses, right? You're like, but if I came in to watch you, Sarah, I should not know which kids are prickly, because you should.
No, you would
Right.
never
Like,
know. In
like-
fact, I work so much harder at laying down the quills that by the end of the year, my prickly kids are, sometimes they are the ones I love the most, but they're they come to me with a lot of trauma and they're very prickly, and you
Yes.
know, you all know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, of course we do. Yes. And those hard kids make you the best teacher. So I remember the kids that like were fun and awesome and just played with me and they weren't hard. But the kids I remember most and remember first and last names and remember exactly what I was wearing on the day he tried to pull my hair out and are the really hard kids. If you had easy kids every year, you wouldn't be a very good teacher, because you wouldn't have to like educate yourself and expand and grow and read articles and books and work on stuff and think about things and self-reflect. You just keep going about how you've been the whole time. Nobody wants that. Every year you should learn and grow and, right, be in a different place. So the strong interpersonal piece to the environment where temperaments are thought of and cherished, even when they're hard, even when the temperament is hard, you still have to be like, haha, okay. Right, I know immediately, like within 15 seconds, what temperament is hard for me. Remember, the joke is that I married that temperament. But I do know what temperament is hard for me. It doesn't mean that I still have to work with the kid, and I still have to enter the relationship appropriately and kindly. And if you're watching as a teacher, you should not know that this kid's hard for me. But there are kids that are hard, even for me, knowing what I know. I'm like, oh man, they got that temperament that makes me crazy. Here we go. And I've probably only had 3 ever that I was like, ooh, if they don't call me back, I won't be mad. And I like a challenge, right? So some of them I'm like, oh yeah, this kid's hard for me and it's gonna be so awesome. And then other kids, I'm just like, I can only think of 3 right now that I've like wanted to take myself off. 2 of them were at home and both moms were a little scattered, so they kept forgetting to text me. I didn't text them, to be honest. I just wasn't the right fit. At some point, I'm not going to be the right fit. If you have a kid who doesn't like humor and fun because they're really serious, I can only fake my seriousness for so long before I just have a hard time, and I'm not the right fit. Luckily, I can move back. If you're the teacher and you're not the right fit, right? I've been in that situation too. So sorry, Sally. You get them the whole year. So you really have to learn and grow and figure it out.
Yeah.
And I definitely have been in that situation. So we can't perfect another person. We can only perfect the relationship between us. So we want to be on what side of this? I do know we have 6 minutes, but I didn't want to skip this part because it's awesome. The relationship model. So we can either be a mechanic where we see kids as broken and we need to fix them. And we fix them through coercive measures, which are sticker charts, timeouts, where we have all the power, right? Coercion means I own all the power, I'm hoarding it. It's adults and systems oriented, which means I don't know what to do. What do? I find the person above me, they tell me what to do, and I have to implement that. So it is me going into somewhere and using love-based strategies, but there's somebody that is there all the time using fear-based strategies. I'm not going to last in that school very long because I'm going to confuse kids and teachers. Do I think I'm right? Yes. Does it really matter what I think? No, because I'm only there half day, full day for one day. And then what happens when they have issues? They do what? Go to the system. And the system doesn't support what I support. So then the teachers are like, but I was told to do a sticker chart and you told me not to, so now I don't know what to do. Then it's even harder for the teacher. The teacher's already having struggles, right? Which is why they've asked me and the other behavior person. So it decreases trust in learning and increases defensiveness. So when you see a kid is broken and you need to fix them and you're using coercive measures, we're decreasing trust. Remember, I talked about that. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. If you keep saying you don't get a sticker, I'm going to ignore you. What does that do to the relationship, right? It chips it away and you eventually ruin it. Even if you started as a great relationship, the kids loved me until you do strategies in fear, and then they will not like you. They will not come out on top on the other side. Decreased learning, that's why would you decrease learning? You're a teacher. You're supposed to be increasing learning, social, emotionally, and academic. And increased defensiveness, which looks like what? Sometimes kids hurt physically and hurt emotionally, hurt others because of the defensiveness, right? Well, I'll show you. If I feel bad, you're going to feel bad. And I think that's probably human nature. It takes a lot to not make another feel bad when you feel bad. So it increases survival behavior. Survival behavior is fight, flight, or freeze. You don't want kids in survival behavior all the time. Well, you don't want them in survival behavior most of the time. And the outcome is emotional scars. Is that why we got into teaching? Oh, this kid's hard for me. I'm going to fix him, and I really hope. I hope at the end I've scarred him. I hope so. Is that what we're doing? Oh gosh, I hope not. Right? That's the face you should make, Emily. Like, no. We're looking at kids when we're gardeners. So we cultivate, we have to plant the seed, we have to wait for the seed to grow, which means what? Teach a skill, meet a need. And that metaphor, it's what? Water it, talk to it, put it in the sunlight, and then how long does it take it to grow? A long time. And maybe more than the year you're with them or more than the 9 months you're with them. But you gotta wait, right? That's why it's really hard I think infant and toddler teachers have the hardest jobs because they're planting the seed and they don't see anything that's any sort of cultivation in a big way like you would see when a child is older, right? Infants take and take and take and take and take, and we give and give and give to infants and toddlers. And then sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, can we just fix them? Like, I can't hold the kid the whole time to sleep. I know you can't. But right now, the kid's 6 weeks old and they've slept on their mom for 6 weeks, and then they come here and it's a different environment, a different caregiver. They don't know what's happening. You have to hold them. The minute I put them down in the crib, I don't know where them. right? And little by little, you're going to inch that off, and you're going to end up with a bloom, but it's probably going to be right before they leave the infant room and go to toddlers. It means we're influential, right? That power of one. We need to influence a child's learning. We can only be influential when we choose love. Otherwise, we are, right, ruining that relationship. We are increasing trust in learning and decreasing defensiveness and survival behavior. That's what we want to be doing. So a kid makes a mistake, they fall apart, and we say what? Ah, buddy, you know what? It's been a hard day. It's been a hard day for me too. You know what? Maybe tomorrow will be your best day and my best day. Tomorrow when I see you, I'm going to ask, right? So yeah, I had a hard time, you had a hard time, but I didn't take the foundation of trust out. I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow will be a better day. Let's try it again tomorrow. Or sometimes we say to kids, you know what? You haven't had your best day yet. These other kids have had their best day. I can't wait to see yours. Maybe it'll be today. And then when they have a hard time doing something and you're right, and you find that little bit that they did better, you're like, you know what? You couldn't do that yesterday. You didn't do that yesterday. You did that today. I bet it is going to be your best day. I did that to a kid, and his name was Cooper. And I had left. I had come back. I had left for like a week or 2 weeks, and I came back, and he looked at me and he goes, well, I've already messed up today, Meg. It's not my best day. And I said, bummer. But you know when my best day was? And I was like, when? He goes, the day you were here. I did it all. That was my best day. And I said, well, maybe you could have the best half day because I'm here for a couple hours. Maybe you'll have the best 2 hours. He goes, well, I'm certainly going to try. Well, that's great, buddy. I said, all I can ask is that you try. And when you make a mistake, I'm going to be here for you. He goes, I knew it. He was such a funny kid. And he did have the best 2 hours. I left and I said, hey, Cooper, you know what I'm thinking? He goes, that those were my best 2 hours. I said, that is what I'm thinking. He goes, I knew it. I knew you were thinking that. And I said, maybe when I leave, do you think you have the best 2 hours again? He goes, well, I'm certainly going to try. And remember, that's all you can ask of me. He would like take my words and put them back in my mouth. And I was like, yes. So self-acceptance is what happens with this. I know we have a minute, but we're over a minute, but I'm going to tie it in real quick. So when you were a gardener and you cultivate and you're influential and you were child-oriented, right? The children get to have a say, right? That's the yes environment. We increase trust in learning, decrease defensiveness and survival behavior. The outcome is self-acceptance. Why is that so important? In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the last tier before you get to need to know and understand is what? Self-acceptance and self-esteem. So you need to be in transactional or unidirectional to get to self-esteem. You have to be in transactional. If you're in unidirectional, what happens to the kids? They get stuck below the growth needs, right? They get stuck in self-esteem and emotional safety, and they keep going around in that circle, and they don't get to need to know and understand because we've chosen a no environment. Does that all make sense? Yes, we did it. Now it's time to go outside and, oh my gosh, anybody going outside now? I'm still going outside. Yes. Oh no, Sarah's like, no, darn.
No,
I'll go outside for you.
I'm still teaching. Next week's our last week, and I go live with all my classes because I think it's really important that they have some continuity. But but I'm going out at 2.
That's good.
Yeah, you're okay. 2 more hours and you get to go outside. At 2, I have to come back in, so we'll switch places. I'll warm up the universe for you while I'm out there.
All right.
So this is the last one of the week, so you'll see me next week. Next week I have the emails going out. I'm going to put it on Facebook today. First hour needs and mindfulness again with Dawn, because I feel like I'm getting better at it. Diverse learners, so differentiation of instruction piece, and common triggers and golden maximizers. So finding out what we could do proactively to chasing the why. I always say chase the why. What can we do before we're on a wild goose chase for the why? Let's figure out how we don't have to go on a why hunt for too long because we've done things proactively. So that's what's happening next week. And at some point, I'm going to run out of workshops. It might be soon. And then I'm going to miss everybody. I don't know what to do.
Then we'll just have to get together to hang out.
I know, right? Well, we're having, when we're allowed to go somewhere, we're all going out to, the people who've been with me for a long time, I'm gonna like meet in Manchester or something and go and have dinner with everybody and like smooch them and touch them and love them. I can't wait. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but it's happening.
Our school ends, I think, the 9th, but the teachers have to go till I don't know if it's the 15th or the 13th, or I really wasn't paying attention. But it's close to the 9th.
True.
I feel like I do this forever. I have to do emails to all the kids. I think I've sent, since we've been out of school, over 1,700 emails just to keep in touch with all the kids.
1,700?
100, yeah, just to connect with them, see how they're doing,
Oh
and
my word.
and it's like try this or connect with this, or it's
Yeah.
like because they're having a hard time.
Yeah,
or
I was thinking of doing these through the summer, and I was like, I think the teachers are going to take such a far hiatus from any sort of computer that
yeah,
I don't think I'm going to do them live. I'm just going to say that I have the ones recorded, right? And then
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
find those. But yeah, I think I'm not going to do them in the summer, partly for my health and well-being, but also I don't think anybody's going to come. I think people are going to be out and go as far away from any sort of computer as possible.
I think everybody's so burnt out. It's
Oh yeah, I
like,
think they were burned out in the
Yeah.
first week. Now we're really burned out.
yeah, I think people need to regroup and try
Yes.
to get their heads on straight. It's
Whew,
like,
and then the first day of school, their head's going to fall off again because of all the things that they have to do.
yeah, well, I hope we go back, but from what I've been hearing, it doesn't look like we're gonna be.
Well, I've seen the rules of if we go back, I'd rather it be distance learning because it's impossible.
Yeah, it is impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
see.
And they were telling me about this, one of our teachers is in Old Orchard, and she said that, people have been going down there to swim, and the police officers are walking along the beach, and if somebody goes to sit down, they're right over there. Stand up, you can't sit down on the beach, you can't do this, you can't do that. So she said it's impossible for people to enjoy the beach.
Yeah,
So
right.
I don't know what they're doing at your beach, but she said her beach is impossible.
Our beach is still closed.
Oh,
It's
it
not
is.
open yet. I think next week it opens, and then we'll just keep moving. I mean, I'm not real good at sitting anyway, but
Yeah.
it's going to be
She
tricky.
said it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
You can't sit in a chair. You can't, even for the dogs to go swimming or to do anything like that, you have to just keep moving. So
It's going to be a weird looking beach with everybody like moving around.
and you have to stay 6 feet apart, and yeah,
Oh my
they're
gosh, I can't.
they're being.
I'm going to bring my tape measure with me when I go. Measure everyone. You're too close.
Yeah,
All right,
I guess there's an app that you
Right.
can put on your phone to stay 6 feet apart from somebody. It's a little robot that you can get on your iPhone.
No,
Oh,
stop it.
gosh.
Yes, there is. There is.
Ugh. All right, I'm going outside.
Have
to
a great
enjoy the
weekend.
nice weather.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, every time.
I know, I have a hard time leaving. There we go.
I did it. Oh, I didn't do it. I'm the only one here now.